Hello. So I did my topic on social media algorithms and their influence on international relations. A little bit of a disclaimer, I'm pretty sick, so please excuse my voice. Um, but I'm pretty much going to cover the secret formulas behind our social media apps and how they shape what we see online. This is a pretty serious matter because social media isn't really just for fun. The vast majority of Americans nowadays, it's their main source of news. So the algorithms that decide what to show us and that are capable of changing our opinions, votes, and even how nations interact is a pretty big deal. So I'm going to cover, the social media algorithms, why governments care about them, how they've been used in global politics, and then look at the issue through three major IR theories. So what exactly are social media algorithms? Well, an algorithm is basically a formula that decides what content appears on your feed. It personalizes what you see by looking at your past likes, clicks, shares, and any interactions that you have with it. These systems are designed to maximize engagement. They really want you to keep scrolling and interacting. Posts that get a lot of likes or comments are deemed engaging, so the algorithm boosts these posts to even more people. And this can be positive, like videos, or negative videos that frustrate people and make you want to comment or interact. So the code is pretty much in charge of what you view online, and most of us aren't actually choosing posts manually. The algorithm chooses for us behind the scenes, and this has a pretty huge influence over the information that we consume. One person, for instance, might mostly just be seeing sports highlights, while another sees political news, and this is all because the algorithm has just learned what each user is hooked on, and so they just quietly shape our entire online experience by basically deciding which voices and stories get attention and which do not. So who controls these algorithms and why do governments care? Um, Pretty much private tech companies design and adjust these algorithms. And the vast majority, like, cause or reason to this is to purely boost engagement and ad revenue rather than to serve the public and the public's interests. Governments have noticed this influence, and many are now pressuring the platforms to act more responsibly. Some have even threatened new regulations if platforms don't cut down on the harmful content that's being passed around on them. And foreign states can now exploit these algorithms too, because they know that algorithms boost content that triggers strong reactions. So adversaries pretty much like stir a large pot by injecting propaganda or fake news for the algorithms to amplify, and control over these algorithms pretty much equals political power today. And this is pretty much why governments care so much, and they either want to harness that power or make sure someone else doesn't use it against them. So a foreign influence example would be with Russia's interference in the 2016 US election. This particular event really shows how a foreign actor exploited social media's algorithms to pretty much meddle in another country's politics. This was done by Russia's Internet Research Agency, which was state-backed, and it created thousands of fake social media profiles that pretty much pretended to be Americans, and these fake accounts posted divisive content on pretty much controversial issues, kind of meant to spark outrage, and these posts got tons of comments and shares, so the platform's algorithms amplified the content like further and further, showing it to more and more users, and Facebook later revealed that the Russian campaign reached about 126 million Americans. All of this was pretty much meant to undermine trust, fuel polarization, and basically get Americans fighting each other and doubting like our own institutions. And this example pretty much showed how social media algorithms can be weaponized, and that a foreign government used the engagement kind of driven nature of these platforms as a tool of basically information warfare. And yeah. So some other political vulnerabilities linked to algorithms, beyond that specific case, one big issue is echo chambers. So if you keep engaging with one viewpoint, the algorithm shows you like more and more and more of it until you're only hearing one side. And so society then fragments because each group ends up in its own bubble with its own reality. And this is very unhealthy. Another problem is the amplification of misinformation. False or sensational news spreads much faster than truth because it grabs attention, and the algorithm rewards that a ton. All of this contributes to declining trust in democratic processes. When people are bombarded with false or conflicting information, they lose trust in media, institutions, and even elections. And pretty much ensure algorithms that were meant to show us fun, personalized content have a pretty dark side, and they can deepen divisions in society and make it harder for everyone to agree on what is true. And it's a real challenge for any democracy. So now applying some IR theory, the liberalism perspective focuses on cooperation and institutions, and they see the problems of social media algorithms as a global issue that no single country can fix alone, and they would advocate for international rules and norms to manage algorithmic influence. In practice, that might mean countries coming together to set guidelines or treaties for tech companies. For example, agreeing on standards for algorithm transparency or sharing data on disinformation. And liberalism puts faith in multilateral cooperation through international organizations. They would suggest that using global institutions to oversee the big social platforms and ensure they're not harming the public. They also emphasize regulation and transparency, perhaps like requiring companies to reveal more about how their algorithms work or giving users more control. And the key idea is that through collaboration and shared norms, countries can kind of tame the harms of the algorithms while keeping the benefits. And like liberalism trusts that working together globally can have better results than each nation going at it alone. Moving on to a realism perspective, which has a more competitive and security-focused take. Realists see social media algorithms as tools of power that can be used in the struggle between states. From this view, controlling information is crucial for national power. If a rival country can influence your population via social media apps, this can be seen as a serious national security threat. Their approach is all about protecting pretty much your own nation's interests, and there's an emphasis on state control and self-help, meaning each country should guard its information space and not rely on others to do it. And they support defensive measures like censorship or bans when needed. And, like, for example, a realist might applaud moves to ban a foreign app if they think that it could be used by an enemy for either propaganda or spying. And they'd also fight back against disinformation attacks with their own operations. A realist lens pretty much treats algorithmic influence as a new battlefield where every state is out for itself, and making sure no rival gains the upper hand through social media. Finally, we move to the Marxist perspective, which looks at the economic power struggles behind social media. A Marxist would argue that social media algorithms behave the way they do because of capitalist profit motives. These platforms may be free to use, but they make profit by keeping us hooked and selling our attention to advertisers. So their algorithms are built purely to maximize engagement. This leads to a concentration of power in a few big tech corporations. In Marxist terms, those companies are like a new ruling class, basically controlling the digital means of production for information. Users' attention and personal data are exploited as commodities to be bought and sold. Pretty much from this viewpoint, small fixes will not cut it. You need structural reform, and this could mean breaking up monopolies or turning social media into a public utility. The idea is that as long as the system runs on kind of a profit first logic, algorithms will continue to exploit users and harm society. So they would call for changing the very structure and ownership of the platforms, not just kind of like tinkering around the edges. So in conclusion, these unseen algorithms have become a form of political power. They influence what billions of people see and believe, which means they can sway elections and social movements. We've seen foreign actors exploit algorithms to meddle in other nations, and we know algorithms at home can create echo chambers and spread a lot of misinformation. Looking through the lenses of liberalism, realism, and Marxism, it gives us different insights into this complex issue, from the need for global cooperation to concerns about security and power, and to the role of economic incentives. The real challenge now is balancing competing priorities, keeping the internet open and innovative, but also safe and truthful, and protecting security without kind of stifling free expression. There's no easy fix, but one thing is pretty clear, that we have to take it seriously, and all the key players, including governments, tech companies, international organizations, need to help manage algorithms responsibly. So whether through smarter laws, global agreements, or changes in tech design, the goal is the same. Use this power for good and prevent it from undermining democracy. And here is my works cited. Thank you.